Right now, in a small village in southwest China, a woman is going to sleep alone in her own house. Tonight, after dark, a man will quietly come visit her. He'll leave before sunrise. She might see him tomorrow. She might never see him again. This is not cheating. This is not strange. This is just how the Mozuo have done it for over 1,000 years. And they're not the weird ones. We are. Marriage, as we know it, is shockingly young. The first written marriage records show up in Mesopotamia about 4,350 years ago. That's it. That's when marriage began. Anatomically, modern humans have been around for 300,000 years. Do the math. Marriage covers about 1.5% of human history. For the other 98.5%, our ancestors were doing something else entirely. Here's what historians like Stephanie Kuntz have shown. Marriage wasn't invented for love. It wasn't invented for romance. It was invented to handle property. Two clans wanted to merge their grain stores, their cattle, their land. A wedding sealed the contract. Love was, at best, a nice bonus. Most often, it wasn't a factor at all. So what were humans doing before that? The best window we have is the remaining hunter-gatherer societies. The anthropologist Frank Marlowe spent 20 years living with the Hadza in northern Tanzania. Richard Lee did the same with the Juhansi people in the Kalahari Desert. And what they found, again and again, is that serial monogamy is the actual ancestral pattern. People pair up. They stay together for a few years. They drift apart. They find someone new. Nobody calls a lawyer. Nobody calls anyone, actually. There's no paperwork because there's no contract. The Hadza don't have a word for husband. The closest term just means the man I'm currently with. A Hadza woman might have 3, 4, even 5 different partners across her life. So might a Hadza man. Their children grow up with siblings who have different fathers, raised in a band of about 30 people who all help feed every kid. Sarah Hrdy, the evolutionary anthropologist, called this cooperative breeding. The whole group raises the children. No single mother, no single father, no nuclear family. And nobody finds this scandalous. Nobody is jealous. Nobody is alone. Now, back to the Mosuo. Their system is called Seisei, which roughly translates to walking marriage. A woman has her own room in her mother's house. When she wants to see a man, he visits at night and leaves at dawn. He never moves in. Their child, if there is one, is raised by the woman and her brothers. Mozuo society doesn't have a word for father in the way English uses it. The man who raises you is your uncle. In 1929, the Polish anthropologist Bronislaw Malinowski published his observations of the Trobriand Islanders. The Trobrianders had multiple partners freely. There were rituals, songs, customs around it, but no jealousy and no scandal. Children were loved by an entire kin group. Malinowski's reports horrified European readers. They were not what scandalized the Trobrianders. So why do pair bonds exist at all? Helen Fisher, the biological anthropologist at Rutgers, has spent 40 years on this question. Her answer is fascinating. Pair bonds in humans aren't built to last a lifetime. They're built to last about 4 years. Just long enough to safely get one child past the most vulnerable infant phase. Then the bond, biochemically, starts to dissolve. The brain's dopamine and oxytocin response weakens, and one or both partners drift. Fisher calls this the 4-year itch. And when she looked at divorce data from 60 different countries, the peak of divorce clusters right around year 4 of marriage. Not 7, like the Hollywood myth. 4, because we are running on ancient hardware that was never designed for till death do us part. We were designed for till the kid can keep up with the band. And then we'd find someone new, and our previous partner would find someone new. And the children would grow up surrounded by half-siblings and step-parents and grandparents and aunts, with no idea that any of this was supposed to be sad. So what happened? Agriculture happened. About 12,000 years ago, humans started farming. And the moment people started owning fields and herds, they started caring deeply about who was going to inherit those fields and herds. Suddenly, paternity mattered. Suddenly, knowing exactly whose son was the whole ballgame. Marriage, the social technology, was invented to lock down paternity certainty. You weren't getting married for love. You were getting married because two families wanted to merge their assets and make sure the inheritance went to the right kid. This is true across nearly every civilization for thousands of years. Egyptian, Roman, Chinese, Persian, all contract, all property, almost no love. Romantic marriage, the kind where two people choose each other because they're in love, that's about 250 years old. The Victorians invented it. Kuntz has the data. Before roughly 1750, suggesting you marry for love would have been considered immature, irresponsible, and probably immoral. Love marriages were associated with reckless teenagers not stable adults. And here's the part most people miss. Jealousy, the kind we treat as a universal human emotion, looks very different across cultures. In the Trobriand Islands, in the Mosuo villages, in the Amazonian Ach, jealousy of multiple partners is muted, sometimes absent. Children with multiple possible fathers are seen as lucky, not shameful. The whole village pitches in. Anthropologists call this partible paternity. It is not rare. It shows up in dozens of cultures. So here's the picture. For 99% of human history, we had multiple partners. We raised children collectively. We had no concept of marriage and no concept of romantic love as the basis of family. Then we invented marriage to manage property. Then we invented love marriage to make property marriage emotionally bearable. And now we're surprised that the system is straining at the seams. A 40% divorce rate is treated as a national tragedy. But by ancestral standards, a 40% divorce rate is a remarkably stubborn attempt to override our actual biology. Our ancestors had multiple partners across their lives. They had children with different people. They raised those children together. Aunts, uncles, cousins, friends. Nobody was scandalized. Nobody was alone. We invented marriage to track who owned what. Then we invented love marriage to make it bearable. And now we wonder why so many of us feel like something is missing. Maybe we're not broken. Maybe we just don't recognize what we lost. We were never supposed to do this alone. We just forgot we weren't.